Check this out. How's it going, people? It's Paul here, and I hope you guys are doing well. And yes, I have not done the acoustic treatment, so my voice will have a lot of reverb. Today I'm gonna teach you to kind of sound like Svdden Death. So I tried to recreate that evil Screech from Svdden Death, Maze of Punishment. Of course, it doesn't sound exactly like the Maze of Punishment song, and this is because I only recreated the Screech and the kick and snare. Before you start doing anything here, make sure you got your BPM set to around 135. All right, so let's jump right into the tutorial. For this Screech, we're going to be using two layers. So we have the sub and we got the Screech. Let's start with the sub first. So we're going to be making a loud, deep sub that will make the ground shake if you have loud subwoofers. Let's create a new MIDI channel so that we click Control, Shift, and T. And I'm just going to rename this sub YouTube. We double click on the channel. Let's extend this note. And let's make it about 5 in length here. And we're gonna look for D0. Now that we have that, let's grab Serum and paste it. So for this, we want to pile up as many sine waves as we can so that we can get a fatter sub. So let's grab a sine wave here. Let's turn on this oscillator and make it another sine wave. Then we turn on this sub and grab the sine wave. Turn our levels all the way up. FM oscillator A from B. And you're gonna look for a sweet spot, like right before your sine wave starts to get a little bit of distortion. This is gonna be right around 36%. So now you're gonna turn on this filter with this MG Low 12. Let's put it on envelope mode and lower this rate to 1/2 note. And let's adjust this curve. So what we're trying to do here is to add a smooth start to the sub so that it goes along with how the Screech is gonna start. If you find that your modulation here is going both ways like this, you can click Alt and Shift, and so you just make it this to go one way at a time. And let's adjust it here so that our sub doesn't start too aggressively. Let's make it a little bit smoother by increasing a little bit of the attack here. Let's jump over to the post-processing part now. Let's add a little bit of saturation here. We're going to be increasing this gain just a little tiny bit. This is so that we can start bringing up those mid frequencies. Now let's grab the compressor, a glue compressor. What we're going to do with this glue compressor is to make our sub louder without clipping the channel. So I pretty much just click on this soft clip mode just to make sure that we're not clipping, bring up the markup a little bit, and the threshold. We just lowered it a little bit so that we're hitting tighter to the threshold. And I actually forgot a very important step here. Let's go back to Serum here and lower this random knob so that we always start from the same place when we're playing our sub. Now we're not getting variations of tones. All right, so that's it for our ground shaking sub. Now let's jump over to the Screech part. And we're gonna be making this Screech from scratch. So let's click Control, Shift, and T so we can make a new MIDI channel. Now let's rename our channel. We can just call it Screech YouTube. Let's follow it here, and since we're going to be using the same note as our sub, we can just copy and paste the same note here from our sub, which is going to be D0, which is the magic note for all these subs and screeches. Now let's grab Serum and paste it on our channel. So the first thing we got to do is turn on both oscillators and select basic shapes for both oscillators. Then we're going to choose the second wavetable position for both oscillators. Let's turn this knob, random knobs, all the way down. Now let's FM oscillator A from B, and we're gonna set it to like around 37%. The secret sauce of this Screech, which is the formant filter number 3. Formant filters add some kind of vowel to whatever sound you're gonna be playing. So we have to set this formant filter to both oscillators. So let's click here on B as well. Let's adjust this resonance here to like around 60%. Adjust this drive to like around 37%. Let's just call it 36%. Let's see what we are sounding like so far. This is going to be the magic knob here that's going to create that vowel for us. Let's modulate our formant filter with our first LFO. This is what's going to create the movement for us. Let's set this to 1/2 note and set it to envelope mode so that our Screech just keeps on going. So we need this backwards. Okay, now our formant filter is opening. We're going to be adjusting the pitch of our Screech with this filter cutoff. Let's set it to around 943 hertz for the moment. Okay, let's move over to our effects section. Turn on this EQ first, so we can cut off the high ends, and we make our Screech a little bit smoother. You can adjust this EQ as you like. You might like those really high ends. That's up to you. Now let's turn on this compressor here. We're gonna be turning on multiband, and we're gonna adjust the threshold and the gain, and yeah, just around your liking as well. So this is gonna give more presence to our Screech. All right, now so let's go back to our wavetables. And I was just listening to the song, and I found out that we're actually a little bit high on the pitch. So let's lower this to 666 hertz. Let's just call it 667. Let's adjust our format modulation as well. Let's raise this a little tiny bit. Let's move it up a little bit and set this little dot to around here so that we have a more of a presence in the start. Let's lower this filter a little bit. Okay, so the magic number here will be 30%. Yes, I know we've been clipping for the longest time, and we're gonna fix that once we jump over to the post-processing. But before we do that, we have one more step here in Serum. Let's click here on our wavetable options and click on process. Then you're gonna click on remove fundamental, and then you're gonna click on normalize each. And you're gonna do this for both oscillators. So process, remove fundamental, and then normalize each. This is gonna give us a smoother sound. Okay, so let's start the post-processing by adding some reverb. And honestly, I don't like using Serum's built-in reverb because it adds a lot of noise at the end. I don't know if that happens to you, but it happens a lot to me. If there's a way to get rid of that within Serum, let me know in the comments because I have no clue. So we're just trying to add a little bit of depth to the sound. So let's adjust this to around 360 milliseconds. Next, let's add a saturator to give more presence to our Screech. We're gonna click on this arrow here. We're gonna be selecting sine, whatever fold. Well, this one's the one that works the best, I think. This actually fixed the clipping part of our channel here, and it gave a lot more presence to the Screech. Now let's add an OTT. You can adjust this OTT as you like. Just trying to keep this sound as accurate as possible. So I made these adjustments here in the OTT. You can pause the video so if you want to copy it exactly as it is, or you can adjust it as you like. Next, let's add a glue compressor. And let's adjust the markup and the threshold. So what we're trying to do with this OTT is to make our sound as loud as possible without clipping the channel. So let's click on this soft mode as well. All right, that's good for the moment. Now let's add another EQ. So this glue compressor gives more presence to the lower and mid frequencies. So with this EQ, we're gonna adjust the high frequencies. You can adjust this as you like. I'm just trying to give a little bit more presence to the high frequencies so that we get more of a crisp sound. So now that we boosted these high frequencies, let's give them a little bit more presence by pasting another glue compressor here. Now let's click on the soft mode so that we don't clip and raise this markup a little bit. So yeah, we're pretty much done with our Screech. So let's follow the Screech with the sub to see what it sounds like. Next step is to group our Screech with the sub. The red stuff is just a reference, but yeah, I guess I should have told you that at the beginning of the video. But since right now we're only working with the green stuff, let's group them together. And for that, we click Control, click here, Control, click here, and Control G. There you go. Now we created a little subgroup here, and let's just follow this for the moment. And another thing that I'm going to do here is just get this out of the way real quick so that I don't confuse you even more. So ignore all these red stuff. Right now we're only focusing on this group right here. Let's add a little bit more post-processing in our channel here so that we can polish our sound as much as possible. We can add another EQ here just so that we get rid of a little bit of the bass. Let's add one more glue compressor. And let's control our clips here. And now let's just add one more EQ. Let's add a little bit more of these high frequencies so that we get that crisp sound.
Like that pretty much is good. Now let's put it before the compressor so that we don't have to add another one. So the final step here is just to sidechain our screech and the bass with the drums. This is just so that we don't sound absolutely terrible. All right, let's click this arrow here, sidechain, and we're gonna set it to drums, YouTube. Let's set the release to auto, and you just adjust this threshold as you like, pretty much. Let's solo it. So the second screech in the first drop with Maze of Punishment song, it's a little bit higher in the pitch. So let's try to recreate that real quick. So let's just duplicate this screech. We click Control and B. Let's solo it real quick, and let's go back to Serum here. And now let's adjust this format filter, so I'll make it a little bit higher in pitch. Set it to around 39%. Okay, let's go back here and separate this a little bit. Grab our sub and paste it here as well, so that our screech gets a sub as well. Of course, there has to be some call and response in this section right here, but right now we're only focusing on the screech part. This is what it sounds like. Okay guys, that's it for this tutorial. I hope you have a lot of fun with that. If you like the video, consider liking and subscribing. I would certainly appreciate that. Have an amazing headbanging journey, and I'm out.